Indonesia's role in SSTC has set a benchmark for solidarity among developing nations. From education to healthcare, agriculture to infrastructure, Indonesia has shared its expertise, empowering other nations to thrive. By participating in SSTC, Indonesia demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and mutual assistance, reinforcing our commitment to building a more equitable and connected world. As a co-chair representing dual-role countries in Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, GPEDC, Indonesia has been actively promoting principles of effective development, cooperation at the global and national level. These principles including to ensure the country ownership, focusing on results, inclusive partnerships, as well as transparency and mutual accountability. Indonesia's leadership in GPEDC reflects our commitment to effective development cooperation as a key in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and creating a better future for all. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Indonesia will continue to champion inclusive, innovative, and effective partnerships that deliver real impact. In this pivotal role, Indonesia will guide global discussions and catalyze collaborative action to ensure that development cooperation becomes a beacon of hope for all nations. Indonesia's journey is one of collaboration, leadership, and progress. Together with the world, we will continue to build a future where development knows no boundaries. Indonesia, a nation of remarkable diversity, strength, and vision, stands at the crossroads of global development. As a committed global partner, Indonesia has played a significant role in shaping the future of international cooperation. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, HLF MSP, Indonesia has been a leading voice in advocating for inclusive partnerships. This forum brings together governments, civil society, the private sector, and international organizations working hand in hand to tackle the world's most pressing development challenges. Indonesia has championed the importance of collaboration, ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of sustainable development. Our nation's leadership in HLF MSP exemplifies our dedication to fostering dialogue and creating lasting solutions through stronger South-South and Triangular Cooperation, SSTC, sustainable economy, and innovative financing. In parallel, Indonesia's role in SSTC has set a benchmark for solidarity among developing nations. From education to healthcare, agriculture to infrastructure, Indonesia has shared its expertise, empowering other nations to thrive. By participating in SSTC, Indonesia demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and mutual assistance, reinforcing our commitment to building a more equitable and connected world. As a co-chair representing dual-role countries in Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, GPEDC, Indonesia has been actively promoting principles of effective development, cooperation at the global and national level. These principles including to ensure the country ownership, focusing on results, inclusive partnerships, as well as transparency and mutual accountability. Indonesia's leadership in GPEDC reflects our commitment to effective development cooperation as a key in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and creating a better future for all. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Indonesia will continue to champion inclusive, innovative, and effective partnerships that deliver real impact. In this pivotal role, Indonesia will guide global discussions and catalyze collaborative action to ensure that development cooperation becomes a beacon of hope for all nations. Indonesia's journey is one of collaboration, leadership, and progress. Together with the world, we will continue to build a future where development knows no boundaries. Indonesia, a nation of remarkable diversity, strength, and vision, stands at the crossroads of global development. As a committed global partner, Indonesia has played a significant role in shaping the future of international cooperation. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, HLF MSP, Indonesia has been a leading voice in advocating for inclusive partnerships. This forum brings together governments, civil society, the private sector, and international organizations working hand in hand to tackle the world's most pressing development challenges. Indonesia has championed the importance of collaboration, ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of sustainable development. Our nation's leadership in HLF MSP exemplifies our dedication to fostering dialogue and creating lasting solutions through stronger South-South and Triangular Cooperation (SSTC), sustainable economy, and innovative financing. In parallel, Indonesia's role in SSTC has set a benchmark for solidarity among developing nations. From education to healthcare, agriculture to infrastructure, Indonesia has shared its expertise, empowering other nations to thrive. By participating in SSTC, Indonesia demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and mutual assistance, reinforcing our commitment to building a more equitable and connected world. As a co-chair representing dual-role countries in Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, GPEDC, Indonesia has been actively promoting principles of effective development, cooperation at the global and national level. These principles including to ensure the country ownership, focusing on results, inclusive partnerships, as well as transparency and mutual accountability. Indonesia's leadership in GPEDC reflects our commitment to effective development cooperation as a key in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and creating a better future for all. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Indonesia will continue to champion inclusive, innovative, and effective partnerships that deliver real impact. In this pivotal role, Indonesia will guide global discussions and catalyze collaborative action to ensure that development cooperation becomes a beacon of hope for all nations. Indonesia's journey is one of collaboration, leadership, and progress. Together with the world, we will continue to build a future where development knows no boundaries. Indonesia, a nation of remarkable diversity, strength, and vision, stands at the crossroads of global development. As a committed global partner, Indonesia has played a significant role in shaping the future of international cooperation. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, HLF MSP, Indonesia has been a leading voice in advocating for inclusive partnerships. This forum brings together governments, civil society, the private sector, and international organizations working hand in hand to tackle the world's most pressing development challenges. Indonesia has championed the importance of collaboration, ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of sustainable development. Our nation's leadership in HLF MSP exemplifies our dedication to fostering dialogue and creating lasting solutions through stronger South-South and Triangular Cooperation (SSTC), sustainable economy, and innovative financing. In parallel, Indonesia's role in SSTC has set a benchmark for solidarity among developing nations. From education to healthcare, agriculture to infrastructure, Indonesia has shared its expertise, empowering other nations to thrive. By participating in SSTC, Indonesia demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and mutual assistance, reinforcing our commitment to building a more equitable and connected world. As a co-chair representing dual-role countries in Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, GPEDC, Indonesia has been actively promoting principles of effective development, cooperation at the global and national level. These principles including to ensure the country ownership, focusing on results, inclusive partnerships, as well as transparency and mutual accountability. Indonesia's leadership in GPEDC reflects our commitment to effective development cooperation as a key in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and creating a better future for all. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Indonesia will continue to champion inclusive, innovative, and effective partnerships that deliver real impact. In this pivotal role, Indonesia will guide global discussions and catalyze collaborative action to ensure that development cooperation becomes a beacon of hope for all nations. Indonesia's journey is one of collaboration, leadership, and progress. Together with the world, we will continue to build a future where development knows no boundaries. Indonesia, a nation of remarkable diversity, strength, and vision, stands at the crossroads of global development. As a committed global partner, Indonesia has played a significant role in shaping the future of international cooperation. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, HLF MSP, Indonesia has been a leading voice in advocating for inclusive partnerships. This forum brings together governments, civil society, the private sector, and international organizations working hand in hand to tackle the world's most pressing development challenges. Indonesia has championed the importance of collaboration, ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of sustainable development. Our nation's leadership in HLF MSP exemplifies our dedication to fostering dialogue and creating lasting solutions through stronger South-South and Triangular Cooperation, SSTC, sustainable economy, and innovative financing. In parallel, Indonesia's role in SSTC has set a benchmark for solidarity among developing nations. From education to healthcare, agriculture to infrastructure, Indonesia has shared its expertise, empowering other nations to thrive. By participating in SSTC, Indonesia demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and mutual assistance, reinforcing our commitment to building a more equitable and connected world. As a co-chair representing dual-role countries in Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, GPEDC, Indonesia has been actively promoting principles of effective development, cooperation at the global and national level. These principles including to ensure the country ownership, focusing on results, inclusive partnerships, as well as transparency and mutual accountability. Indonesia's leadership in GPEDC reflects our commitment to effective development cooperation as a key in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and creating a better future for all. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Indonesia will continue to champion inclusive, innovative, and effective partnerships that deliver real impact. In this pivotal role, Indonesia will guide global discussions and catalyze collaborative action to ensure that development cooperation becomes a beacon of hope for all nations. Indonesia's journey is one of collaboration, leadership, and progress. Together with the world, we will continue to build a future where development knows no boundaries. Indonesia, a nation of remarkable diversity, strength, and vision, stands at the crossroads of global development. As a committed global partner, Indonesia has played a significant role in shaping the future of international cooperation. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, HLF MSP, Indonesia has been a leading voice in advocating for inclusive partnerships. This forum brings together governments, civil society, the private sector, and international organizations working hand in hand to tackle the world's most pressing development challenges. Indonesia has championed the importance of collaboration, ensuring that no one is left behind in the pursuit of sustainable development. Our nation's leadership in HLF MSP exemplifies our dedication to fostering dialogue and creating lasting solutions through stronger South-South and Triangular Cooperation (SSTC), sustainable economy, and innovative financing. In parallel, Indonesia's role in SSTC has set a benchmark for solidarity among developing nations. From education to healthcare, agriculture to infrastructure, Indonesia has shared its expertise, empowering other nations to thrive. By participating in SSTC, Indonesia demonstrates the power of shared knowledge and mutual assistance, reinforcing our commitment to building a more equitable and connected world. As a co-chair representing dual-role countries in Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, GPEDC, Indonesia has been actively promoting principles of effective development, cooperation at the global and national level. These principles including to ensure the country ownership, focusing on results, inclusive partnerships, as well as transparency and mutual accountability. Indonesia's leadership in GPEDC reflects our commitment to effective development cooperation as a key in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and creating a better future for all. Through the High-Level Forum on Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Indonesia will continue to champion inclusive, innovative, and effective partnerships that deliver real impact. In this pivotal role, Indonesia will guide global discussions and catalyze collaborative action to ensure that development cooperation becomes a beacon of hope for all nations. Indonesia's journey is one of collaboration, leadership, and progress. Together with the world, we will continue to build a future where development knows no boundaries.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. Welcome to the thematic session here at the auditorium of the Bali International Convention Center. So, in this beautiful occasion, we are already gathered here, and we will now continue with the next thematic session, which will take the theme of the clean energy conundrum, securing sustainable critical minerals value chains. And it is indeed an honor for me, I'm Dian Ariswari, to be able to greet all of you as the Master of Ceremony for this afternoon thematic session. So as we are already gathered here and all of the panelists as well as the moderator are already here joining us. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the moderator that will lead the sessions as well here. But before that, as this afternoon we have a very special keynote speakers that will join us here. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker for this wonderful afternoon. We will have the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and the Investment of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Bapak Luhut Binsar Panjaitan. So please also get ready to welcome him as he will join us here. Ladies and gentlemen, and get ready to welcome our special keynote speaker in this afternoon. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, just joining us, let us now give a warm welcome to His Excellency Bapak Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment of the Republic of Indonesia. Good afternoon and welcome. So yes, once again, our discussion this afternoon will focus on how developing countries in the global south could benefit from the increasing global demand for the critical energy transition minerals. So we are aiming during the discussion to explore barriers and also power dynamics in current critical mineral markets. And we will explore opportunities for developing countries to move beyond raw material extractions, as well as to identify ways to build strategic partnership in ensuring sustainable and responsible critical mineral supply chain. So as mentioned earlier, we are very honored this afternoon as we will have a keynote speech. And now without further ado, please also join me in welcoming and giving a round of applause to our keynote speaker, His Excellency Bapak Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment of the Republic of Indonesia. Please, Bapak.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to be here this afternoon. Let me begin with several slides. I think the title, Critical Minerals, Value-Added Policies, which is this one, help Indonesia to be like this today. If I remember back to 7 years ago, we never expect it's going to be like this, the impact of the downstreaming industry. If you look at Indonesia, Indonesia consists of over 17,000 islands and 7 hours flying time from east to west. And our population today around 282 million and 108,000 kilometer, the coastline, I think the second longest after Canada, and also located along major sea lanes connecting East Asia, South Asia, and Ocean. We are also very rich on the mineral. If you look at the slide here, we are the largest nickel ore reserve, and second largest tin, and also we are rich with the potential of renewable energy, and also we have like 600 gigaton of carbon capture storage, which is, I think, this country is very, very rich. And how do we transform this to become something could benefit the people of Indonesia? Downstreaming is one of the very important policy taken by President Joko Widodo. If you look at the next slide, for years Indonesia has depended on commodity price, commodity exports. If you look at the commodity price up, and then our export also going up. This is, I think, the up and down. Then you look at also the share of manufacturing export has continued to decline since the 2000s and dominated by raw commodities. So we export raw commodity. So we export the coal, we export the nickel ore, tin, you name it. We are very rich. Bauxite, silica. Well, today we understand we can build our industry, solar panel, because we have a lot of silica. And that's one industry right now ongoing. If you look at the structure of export here, ladies and gentlemen, look at Indonesian export structure. So if this could happen in Indonesia, of course could happen also in Africa. That's also I told my counterpart from PNG. This is, I think, the purpose of this presentation, that we can see the Global South collaboration. And dependence on raw material export causes Indonesia to experience high current account deficit. I still remember this one when first year of President Joko Widodo term, I was the chief of staff of the president. I remember at the time the current account in Indonesia is very, very much a deficit. But today, if you look at now, we are quite stable on the current account. And the government strives for economic transformation through natural resources, downstreaming policy to encourage development of high value added industry. If you look at this slide, ladies and gentlemen, we are used to be like this, dirt. We just export this dirt. But the last 7 years, we are already moving toward that direction, and we are producing soon. Right now, BYD already produced this EV car in Indonesia. And we're targeting sometime next year, maybe we can produce the number of EV in Indonesia, I think maybe the largest in this region. If you look at this also next slide, the slide 6, this policy contributes to increase export value of nickel downstream products, steel and lithium battery material. Yeah. If you look at this one, it used to be our export like this. Yeah, this one, 2.9. So last year it was $34 billion. So you see the difference. And although the China economy a little bit down, our export still continue quite okay or flat for a moment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the lithium battery supply chain ecosystem is quite complex and involves, many things. This is the ecosystem. We not only produce from the nickel ore to be stainless steel, but today we produce also anode material, copper foil. We have a copper. So we produce copper to be copper foil in Gresik, and we produce the aluminum can, and also the electrolyte, and cathode, and battery. So that's, I think, the ecosystem that we are doing here in Indonesia. And we have one of the biggest research center on metallurgy in Bandung, the ITB, the largest outside of China. So this, I think, the impact of this policy. Now, currently developing domestic lithium battery industry ecosystem, we are doing this one. So nearly done, We have all the downstreaming of this. So within 7 years. So if Indonesia can do it, I think Africa and also PNG, some of my colleagues, I told him, what's the difference in Indonesia and PNG, also with Africa? Like DRC, Congo, a lot of material over there. And the main goal of nickel downstreaming is to create competitive ecosystem in lithium battery and electric vehicle value chains. So that's, I think, the next slide, please. Yeah, this is the, I think, the ecosystem. If you look at this one, we have all this now. Yeah, we have this all. So, and then end up with the recycling. Recycling, we can extract 99.5% the cobalt and nickel ore from the lithium battery. So that's, I think, the loop of the system. So we are building the ecosystem, not only one item. So all of this right now already in Indonesia. Downstream policy has successfully reduced Indonesian dependency on export of the material. Export share of nickel derivative products continue to increase. The downstreaming of this one, I think, for the nickel derivative increasing, if you look at time to time. So before, only developed countries can dictate us like this. Today cannot. The labor quality here is better and better because we build a good school. Like in Morowali, we have a better high school than before. And like metallurgy in Bandung, because we have also smart people, young Indonesia, to be researchers over there. And we're going to build like 40 high school that we can accommodate the brightest people of Indonesia, young people of Indonesia, to study there, and then we can send them STEM, I mean the science, technology, and engineer, overseas to the top university. So I think this is, the very good policy of the government of Indonesia. And again, I would like to share this with our friends from Africa and from others. This is, I think, part of the global south. That's also, we encourage to establish what we call it Global Blended Finance Alliance, G20 Bali. This can be the platform to finance some of this kind of industry. The poor population in downstream area is a decline trend accompanied by relatively low inequality. Ladies and gentlemen, job demand also drives the improvement of access and quality of the education through the opening polytechnics. Before, we don't have a good polytechnic outside of Java. All the good polytechnic only Java. Now we have in Morowali, we have in Weda Bay. Because, why? Because the industry need the good quality of polytechnic people. Now we send them overseas to train them in China. Now we move one step to do research. So we'll now research jointly with China, we do it in ITB. Yeah, we establish collaboration with top university from China, like Tsinghua University. So we are moving parallelly. We are not only talking about the current account deficit, we are talking also the human capital. So ladies and gentlemen, this is, I think, collaboration between Indonesia and African countries that we can do it together. If you look at also number of local workers in PT, in Morowali, time to time up. So we don't have people concerned before that debt trap. We don't see any potential debt trap in this country because all the deal we are doing is a B2B, none G2G. So this is, I think, the very important strategy of the government of Indonesia. Not only increasing economic value, technology transfer, and human resources development. As I mentioned to you earlier, that the largest, the best research, methodology research outside of China right now in Bandung. And we're going to do a joint research in Morowali, what we call it, special research zone, that we can give the incentive to do research over there, and then we can, we can patent of this, this research, we can do it in Indonesia. And the Indonesian government ensure that ongoing downstreaming upholds environmental. This is, I think, very important. Some people said, "Oh, you have to do this, to do that." You know, I keep telling them, even to the one of I met my meeting with Rebecca from Contact. I told her, we care very much about the environment because we don't want to issue the policy against the interest of next generation of Indonesia. I'm as a grandpa, I don't want to issue one policy against the interests of my grandchildren. That's a strong message. The developed country no need to lecturing us about the environment. We are very sensitive also in that issue. So we care very much on that issue. Some mistake here and there, yes, but I disagree when some media said dirty mining. Yeah, they call it dirty mining. Dirty nickel, sorry. Dirty nickel. And my recommendation to all of you, understanding value-added chain, economic feasibility is important for policymakers of critical mineral producing countries before they decide which industrial policy to implement. We share this, to be honest with you, with PNG, for instance. We established what we call it high-level dialogue. We share our own experience, and they visited some of our industry to Morowali, to Weda Bay, and to Gresik. And they said, we congratulate the government of Indonesia because you are so successful to do this. And I said to them, to Deputy Prime Minister, I said, hey, Pak John, if Indonesia can do it, what's the difference with the PNG? We can share our experience. Yeah, we can share our experience. We are not going to lecturing you like this. We are equal. So we are developing countries, let's work together. And to same country also in Africa, I said, let's work together on the spirit of Global South. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please remain on the stage. Bapak dimohon untuk tetap berada di atas panggung, as now we would like to have a group photo. So therefore, we would like to invite Mr. Freire, Mr. Seto, Mr. Ukwiza, Ms. Kitau, and also Mr. Abdullah, as well as Ms. Rafitoson, to also join us here on the stage for a group photo with His Excellency Bapak Luhut Binsar Panjaitan. Mr. Clovis Freire, Mr. Saptian Haryoseto, Mr. Rodrigo Urquiza, Ms. Marit Waikitau, Mr. Imaduddin Abdullah, Ms. Keta Kendriana Rafitoson. And now, let us have a group photo. In my countdown, look at the cameras. In 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for the group photo. You may now return back to your seat. And thank you so much once again to the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment of the Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Luhut Binsar Panjaitan. Thank you so much for the wonderful keynote speech and for joining us here during the Clean Energy Conundrum Securing Sustainable Critical Minerals Value Chains session this afternoon. Thank you so much. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, now it is the time for all of us to focus back again as we will now continue our session here. So this afternoon, we're going to start our thematic session, Clean Energy Conundrum, Securing Sustainable Critical Minerals Value Chains, and the session itself will be led by our moderator. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us now welcome our moderator for this session. Please give a big hand to the Chief of Commodity Research and Analyst Sections of the Divisions on International Trade and Commodities of the UN Trade and Development. This is Mr. Clovis Freire. Moderator, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. After the inspiring words of the keynote speech by the minister, it's really with great pleasure that I'm here today. I would like to thank the government for organizing this very inspiring and amazing forum. A warm welcome that we were received here in Bali. I would like to thank you very much for that. And I'm very pleased to moderate this session that deals with such an important topic that is, and this it was titled like the Conundrum for the energy transition. But before I go into the substance and introduce a little bit the context of that, I would like to invite the speakers, panelists of this session. So first, Deputy Minister for Investment and Mining Coordination of the Coordinating Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Investment of the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Septian Harius Seto. A great pleasure to invite to come also here the Executive Director of Publish What You Pay, PWIP, Ms. Ketakandriana Hafitoson. And also great pleasure to invite my good friend, the Interim Director of the African Minerals Development Center of the African Union Commission, Ms. Marit Kitao. And I would like to invite now the Head of the International Affairs Unity of the Ministry of Mining of Chile, Mr. Rodrigo Urquiza. And to complete our panel, I would like to invite the Director of International Collaboration and External Affairs of the Institute for Development of Economics and Finance, Mr. Imaduddin Abdullah. Well, my dear panelists, with great pleasure that we will start this. And the idea of this session is really to discuss about this conundrum of the use of critical minerals. And what is the conundrum? Conundrum is really the dilemma, right? And we can think about this, about complex issues that is difficult to find a solution. But also we can think about that as opportunities for new innovation, new ways to work. I think we can also think about the positive side of it, not only on the negative side of the conundrum. But when we think about this as a conundrum, as dilemma, one of the first dilemmas that come to our mind in terms of critical minerals is that we need these critical minerals for the energy transition. So we need to tackle climate change, and we need this technology, solar panel, electric vehicles, batteries. For that, we need to have these critical minerals. But critical minerals in mining, historically, despite very good progress of industry in trying the responsible mining to try to make it sustainable, historically, mining is associated with practices that are not very sustainable. And then that is the first conundrum, right? So is that how can we, now to address climate change, we have to have more mining. It seems to be a dilemma. But again, I think let's invite that as an opportunity to take that as an opportunity to make mining, and not only mining, but throughout the value chain of critical minerals, from the mineral to the energy transition technologies, more sustainable. So that is, let's take as a first one. The second thing that comes to our mind when we dig a little bit further is that we realize that for countries that have these critical energy transition minerals, seems to be a great opportunity. But you know, many countries that have relied on raw material have been dependent on, on commodities. And commodity dependence is a big developmental problem, as the minister was speaking. And to give an idea, of 195 countries that are members of the United Nations, 95 developing countries are commodity dependent, relying on more than 60% of the exports being commodities. So the dilemma on that, like the challenge is how to make these countries that are rich of these commodities be able to take the opportunity of that without further going into a new commodity dependence, right? So that could be presented as a problem, but also we can think that as an opportunity. Now is an opportunity for countries that are rich in commodity on these critical minerals to take that opportunity to diversify, to go downstream, add value, and diversify their economy. So do, for example, like Indonesia has done in case of nickel. So there's an opportunity there for it. The third conundrum or dilemma that I would like to mention is the more geopolitical aspects. Geopolitical meaning that you will bring geography with politics. And why geopolitics is important is because critical minerals are very concentrated, particularly on the mining aspect. You know, if you take lithium, cobalt, nickel, copper, the top 3 exporters of these minerals, they comprise 60 to 80% of the market. It's very concentrated. So when you create that concentration, it creates in the international geopolitics concerns about the power that these countries may have in the supply chain. So that is what seems as a dilemma, because while we have to have a collaboration to deal with climate change, now because of the critical minerals, you create a situation where countries see that as an arena or a place for competition. So again, we can think about that on a more positive way. Opportunities for partnerships, or for opportunities for learning, or for opportunities for creating elements where people can work together. And to deal with that, we need enablers. We need finance, we need infrastructure, we need technology. And we'll be discussing here innovation and sustainable innovation. And the process on how to go about this is very important. It has to be a multi-stakeholder process with participation of all, a transparent way. So we'll be discussing that as well here. So I'm very pleased that we are with a panel that will be able to discuss these 3 areas of, that I mentioned: the environmental aspect, the value addition diversification aspect, more the partnership aspects, the enabler in terms of sustainable innovation, and the process in terms of a participatory, inclusive participatory way to deal with that. So with that short introduction, I will start now the panel. First, tackling this area of value addition, diversification, how to avoid this trap of commodity dependence. And I would like to hear and invite Deputy Seto. I'd like to hear from you exactly, we already hear from the Minister the developments that we had in Indonesia. But and it was very clear that an important aspect is to build capacities in Indonesia. Technology, human capacity. I would like for you to tell us a little bit more how Indonesia has done that. What are the exactly concrete steps and strategies that Indonesia has used to build those capacities?
Thank you, Clovis. Very nice to see you here. And to my colleagues as well, Rodrigo and Dr. Marit Kitau. I think we are on the same panel in the UN Secretary Generals on the critical minerals. I think this is very interesting questions, especially because if you see the history of these developing countries trying to develop their commodities, they are especially in minerals in the case of African countries, I think has been many obstacles. There has been many challenges. Yeah. But I guess what we have done here in Indonesia, I think this is something that can show that actually creating value added from our natural resources is something that is doable. Yeah. So two things I think that is will be very key in this situation. I think first of all is you need to have good governance structures in terms of the regulatory, in terms of this industry player, and in terms of the capacity in the human resources, yeah, on the mining sector, yeah. Because I think without this one, actually this is the upstream one of the process, yeah. Without this good governance in the mining system, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to develop the downstream, because at the end, then you need to extract the minerals, then you need to make sure that you have a proper ESG, good mining practice on it. You have certainty in the regulation, how you can get this mining concession, how you can produce, what is your obligation and requirement on the post-mining activities, on the reclamation and environmental. That's, I think, something that is very important, yeah. We cannot jump directly into this downstream if we didn't have this good governance structure on this mining. Yeah. Indonesia, for so many years, we are very dependent on these mining commodities. We have been going through a lot of regulatory reform and change on this one. Until now, finally, we have some, what you call it, structure and governance that we believe, I think this is one of the optimal, yeah. It doesn't necessarily, this can be applied to African countries or to our colleagues in South America, but I guess this is something that you need to find out. How you are going to deal with this mining concession, what kind of process for you to get this mining concession, how the government will take their revenue coming out from these mining products, yeah, and then what kind of capacity that you need to build. I think this is the first stage. The second one is then you start to think about how we can increase the value added. Yeah. So then you talk about the industrial policy. I think for many developing countries, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete with developed countries in terms of this industrial policy. I always use this example. Japan, Germany can provide billions and billions US dollar of incentive and subsidy for their semiconductor project, only for one project, 5, 6, 7 billion US dollar. For us, developing countries, we don't have this luxury. We don't have the budget that enough, to do this type of subsidy. So one thing that is very easy to implement is, of course, the export ban. We ban the export of the raw material. So that would be the typical industrial policy that is applied by developing countries. But what I can say is, this is not enough. This is only the first step. If you want to do this downstream, this is only the first step of the policy. Then you need to create an ecosystem and regulatory certainty, how you can attract, investment on this smelting, on this refining of these minerals. Yeah. In Indonesia, for example, our journey when we develop this nickel downstream industry, we provide the incentive on the fiscal side. The tax holiday is actually not too different with other developing countries. Yeah, we provide the tax holiday, we give them permit and license, we give them freedom, yeah, to develop their own infrastructure. Yeah, so this is actually, Clovis, one thing that is also important. Yeah, you doesn't necessarily need spend government budget to build the infrastructure and everything. No. Because at the end, if the investor are able to do that, that would be better for you. You can save your state budget for it, yeah. And on top of that, they know what they want to do. They know what is the most efficient way to build this port, this power plant, yeah, and this basic infrastructure that is required to do this downstream industry. So I guess this is also very important things, and many of it is, when I see, this is some of the missing pieces, yeah, if you want to do this, developing this downstream industry. So I think I will stop there. Thank you, Clovis.
No, thank you very much. I think that it was good to hear from you, because when we think about building capacity, then you remind us that we are talking about the whole value chain. You have to build capacity upstream, but also downstream, and it's different kind of capacity that we have. But also, what you're talking about a learning by doing from the government itself, because you have a policy mix to add to it. The another thing that was interesting is that, in a way, it also brings together the interconnection between environment and the collaboration in other areas. I think it's a good segue for the environment part. I would like to bring now Rodrigo and ask Rodrigo, Chile is well known for its mining industry and sector. It's very important for the country, copper and now lithium. And also Chile has a lot of experience on making this sustainable. So I'd like to hear from you how Chile is balancing, the need for sustainable mining practice with this, with maintaining the economic benefits. How Chile is doing that?
Thank you, Clovis. Before going to your specific question, I would like to express my agreement with what you just said. But I think there is a matter of language when we talk about geopolitics. Is it not close enough? Okay. There is a matter of language when we talk about geopolitics issues. The most regular way to have that information is what you just mentioned at your introduction. But you mentioned the issue of the geopolitics is because of the concentration of the minerals. But the minerals have been there since ever. So it's not a matter that suddenly the minerals just got concentrated in one country or another country. The challenge, in my understanding, is that the non-rich mineral countries need the certainty to get these minerals, especially the critical minerals, because of the transition we are trying to fulfill. But on the other hand, the rich mineral countries expect to have this adding value locally. So I would say more than the concentration of the minerals and the risk to not have access to them is this imbalance of the relationship between those who need desperately those minerals and those countries who has the minerals and they want to, or we want to develop. I think that is the key issue behind the geopolitical aspect. But going back to what you mentioned, in the case of Chile, we've been mining even before the Chile was founded. And we have a relationship between public companies, state-owned companies, and private companies. And they have been working together in a very balanced way. Actually, in the 90s, the state-owned mining companies produce over 70% of the whole production in the country. By now, is the total way around. Now, the state-owned companies are producing something like 40%, and it's because of the increasing of the relationship in the capacity of production. It's not because of the state-owned companies are reducing the capacity, it's because the private investment has come to Chile and invested much more in the latest years. And how the government approach the environmental and social aspects is through participation. Not only the CEO's participation that it used to be long ago, but with civil society participation. In the case of Chile, the relationship between the communities, Aboriginal communities, non-Aboriginal communities, and the government is very tight. the opportunities to be part of the discussions are several. For instance, as in many countries, when you want to make a new project, mining project, you have to go into the environmental system. Then the civil society has the opportunity to interact with the company through the institutionality. But also, every governmental agency has a civil society committee, and they have civil society being part of the management of the agency. So they have regular meetings during the year, and they can ask to the government, directly to the specific agency, to fulfill some specific research or to deliver some data. And finally, we have something that is called the transparency law that requests to all agencies to deliver all the information that is produced at the agency. So the interaction between the government and the civil society is very, very strong. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo. Yeah, you remind us that on the case of the geopolitics that you remember, that you mentioned, that it's true. You remind us again that this is not an issue of mining. This is an issue of the whole value chain. So this is an issue of energy transition technologies as well. So that is where the geopolitical tension is higher too. So that's good that you remind us that. And important to mention how the participation of society creates that. And I think another element that is important on this is how to bring other countries, and I would like to also further on explore this with you, but I would like to bring now Marit on that conversation. How, you know, in Africa, there are many countries that are rich on these critical energy transition minerals. But not every country can do everything. There is also an opportunity perhaps for collaboration, partnership. How this is being developed in Africa?
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I begin by really thanking the government of Indonesia for inviting us and for the very good keynote speech. As was mentioned also by the minister, African countries have all the critical so-called minerals on our soil. And as Rodrigo was saying about Chile, Africa has been mining for hundreds of years. But has it really benefited the people is the question, or has it transformed lives? And the answer is, unfortunately, not as much as it should. I'm not going to be very or completely negative about it, but it could have transformed lives through value addition, through ensuring that there's economic diversification, benefit sharing, equity, justice, and that was how the mining is supposed to be sustainably developed. But this has not been the case for most of our African countries. In Africa, we have developed Africa Mining Vision in 2009. That was 15 years ago. And there was another commodities boom back then. And then that's when we realized in Africa that we were not really benefiting as much as we should in our minerals. So we developed this vision, ensuring that minerals lead to sustainable development and inclusive growth. So we looked at mining throughout the whole value chain, as you were explaining. So we look at it from the revenue, which has always been the case. The revenue side, how do we get from taxation? How do we also ensure that it's equity in the distribution of benefits to the people? But we also look at it from the geological. What do we have on our soil? Most of the time, data is lacking or is not in the hands that it should be, mostly concentrated on the big companies. So what do we have on our soil? It's also very good for bargaining. We also look at it from the environmental and social impact. And mostly, which we felt that it was at the time, 15 years ago, important, is the value addition, diversification, and linkages throughout the whole value chain, making sure that the value is retained on the continent, so that we don't export just raw material. When you export raw material, you export also jobs, you export technology, you export so many things at the same time. Nothing is retained, except even if you get the revenue, and again, the revenue part, you lose it through illicit financial flows, transfer pricing. Some of them is licit, transfer pricing is licit, but it's unethical. So that was the only way we thought that we would get value addition. But what we, and in our continent, in Africa, we have a lot of artisanal small-scale mining. So we also focus a lot on the artisanal small-scale mining. So to the partnership, why we are so excited about Indonesia's experience is that Indonesia has nickel. In Africa, we have 70% cobalt in DRC. We have manganese in South Africa. These are all components of the lithium-ion batteries. We have graphite in Mozambique, in Tanzania, and there is a lot of lithium in Zimbabwe, for example. So we have them all, but have we really managed to value add? And then that's why the Indonesian experience is very important for us, because Indonesia has managed to do that. And I liked what Deputy Minister Seto said, one of the reasons why, and I was hearing why the minister saying, why not Africa, why not PNG? Well, we also try to identify why, and I think the big issue is the good governance. The good governance, political will, and deliberate policies. We talked about the geopolitics, and we talked all of other factors that could influence you in just exporting raw. And historically, the mining industry operates as an enclave whereby even the infrastructure, if you see, for example, Africa, all the roads are going outside of Africa, all the infrastructure. If you see the map, it's like a spider. Nothing is intra. So it's built to be that way. So it's really difficult, like talking about the geopolitics, to come back to the equity of it and to reverse engineer, so to speak, what was done in the past. And that's why it's important to have multi-stakeholder partnerships, South-South cooperation. And also this panel that we are in, the UN Secretary General panel, it gives us also a platform to see where we can collaborate, because we cannot leave a whole continent behind in just being export raw material. And so good governance and also deliberative policies, and also acquiring the skills, the technology, through joint ventures, be very innovative about it. Local industries, we have some examples. And so, yeah, we look forward to learning more from Indonesia. I end here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mari. Yes, when you were speaking, it reminds us the importance of this. One thing that I noted here is this mapping what you know, what you have, the mining. And there's many countries don't know, and actually when you export the raw material, you don't know what is there. Actually, you think that you're exporting, like in the case of the past in Indonesia, 1 ton of dirt, and you think that you're exporting only maybe 1.8 or 0.18% of nickel, right, or around that. But you don't know other minerals that were there, because you are not doing the value addition yourself. So actually, when you do the value addition processing, and you end up discovering other minerals. The other thing in terms of governance is very interesting what you mentioned, because in terms of governance, sometimes the difficulty for these countries is that you don't have anyone to be champion of the industries that don't exist yet in the country. So of course you have all the stakeholders for these sectors that are there, but when to diversify, you are talking about sectors that are not there yet, and you have to have champions for that. And then when you have a government that is champion for the diversification, that may happen. And you mentioned also the importance of this enabler, and you mentioned technology, and that's how I would like now to follow up that, the importance of to have this sustainable innovation. A lot of what is possible is we are always constrained of the technology today, what is innovation, what you have now, but there is a lot of change in technology in this sector as well. So now I'd like to hear from Mr. Imabduddin Abdullah. What are these most promising sustainable innovations that can help us to secure the sustainable and responsible supply chain for these minerals?
Thank you, Clovis, for your introduction. Thank you for having me. I think this is a very good discussion. And I think I would like, before I answer your question, I would like to start with your introduction at the beginning of the session about the conundrum. And then the first one that you mentioned is about the sustainability, trade-off between sustainability and critical mineral. It seems like a paradox because there is an increase of demand for the critical minerals because of the clean technology. So sometimes it's kind of like make a paradox itself, but at the same time, I think I also agree with you that there are so many opportunities. I mean, like, I think there's a presentation from the Pak Luhut in the beginning because he said that we don't know yet in the beginning this is only dirt and water, but after that we can have so many opportunities from the technology and innovation. And all of this came from the sustainability issue. I mean, like when you think about how this debate or discussion about the critical minerals comes first, I think this first comes from the clean energy technologies. I mean, like the world is now trying to, push for the clean energy technologies, green transition, and that's the opportunities that come. I mean, like this is how we see this as a green window opportunities. I mean, like this is how we see that this is the right time for developing countries to, like avoid resource curse because, like a mineral is always very connected, or like have a bad name in the past because mineral resource curse, enclave nature. But I think because of the clean energy technologies, we will see that there is a strong linkages between the minerals that already there in many countries with so many opportunities for value addition and so on. So I think the first one is to see how sustainability should be connected with the critical mineral itself. I mean, like sometimes people think that, okay, there is increasing demand for critical mineral, there will be over exploitation of the minerals. So there's some debate about that. But I think we have to think that the connection between sustainability with the supply of critical mineral is important. I mean, like when we see that there's so many cases where when the country fail to address the sustainability issue, there will be like a disruption, there will be like supply disruption. I mean, like in some case in the Latin America, I think there is a case where because of the ESG problem, they have to shut down the operation that account for like 1.5% of the copper supply in the world. So I think sustainability and ensuring security in the supplying critical mineral is important. In this case, I think that there will be two important aspects. The first one, I think that's will back to your question. First one is, of course, innovation. And the second one is the government's policy. In terms of government policy, I think that I'll also try to back to the one that presented by Pak Luhut before, that in the past, we didn't know that it can be a benefit for the country, but because of the innovation, because of the clean energy technologies, we see so many opportunities. But the question is, sometimes we see kind of like a chicken and eggs. I mean, like, what comes first? Sometimes we think that, okay, because there is no innovation in there, or there is no R&D, human capital in there will be no investment in that sector. And sometimes we think that, okay, there will be no innovation if there is no investment there because there is no incentive for the company to invest, for example, like that. So I think that's kind of like a market failure that the government need to fill. And I think the case of Indonesia show how the importance of industrial policy, building ecosystem, to ensure that there will be innovation, there will be investment that go hand in hand, go in parallel. I think Pak Luhut also mentioned about the case in ITB, University in Bandung, where they have a very big research center, the second one, I think, after China. So I think that's show how important government policy going downstream to build ecosystem to ensure that sustainability, innovation, and ensuring a future generation can go hand in hand. I think I will stop here. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think one thing that you mentioned that is interesting for us to have in mind is that there is this green window of opportunity now, right? So in terms of technology innovation, we see that it's like this twin transition of digital and green transition. And countries should be positioned now to take that opportunity. And even countries that don't have the critical minerals, they can join that through different parts of the value chain as well. So I think that is interesting for to take in consideration. It's not only for countries that have the critical minerals. The other thing that you mentioned is that this what comes from sometimes to invest in technology. You say I cannot have that industry because I don't have the technology. But also, if you don't have the industry, you don't develop the technology. So that's the chicken and egg. Because there is a lot of learning by doing in this process. So sometimes you really need to create first, and then you will be developing the technology and so on. So that is very, very important. I would like now to go to discuss something that Rodrigo mentioned back, that is this participatory part of it, civil society participation. And you mentioned transparency. So I would like now to bring Kenta Kandriana to this discussion. And with your experience, how can we ensure that this critical minerals market, it really is well regulated, transparent, equitable, and that we can bring these voices of all these stakeholders to participate on that?
Yeah, thank you so much, and hello everyone. I'm from Madagascar, and I can relate to all of what has been said, because Madagascar is also a country which is very rich in critical minerals, but yet it's the 5th poorest country in the world. So I see this gathering as an occasion to learn from other stakeholders, and also to see opportunities for building a better future. That may sound very, naive, but that's exactly the purpose of Publish What You Pay. It's striving for a cleaner and a fairer future and energy transition. So before answering your question, let me say a few words about our network, Publish What You Pay. So it is a network of engaged people in more than 50 countries, constituting of more than 1,000 civil society organizations, grassroots communities, etc. Ordinary people really convinced that there can be better ways for accessing, energy transition, but also reducing energy poverty, because this is something which is real and affecting exactly developing countries, and we need solutions for that. Now we are crafting our new global strategy, and we are focusing really on claiming justice for all in the energy transition. And in that, collaboration and participation is really crucial, as you said. Critical minerals is a big topic, and it is trendy right now. We are all speaking about that, and we are thankful that the UN has convened, the panel on critical minerals, featuring some of the speakers here today, that demonstrates the interest that the global community gives and lends to this topic. But for it to be successful, we really need to avoid the mistakes from the past. And one of the main ingredients for avoiding those mistakes is community inclusion, participation of ordinary people, citizens of all countries where those resources are present, where resources will be extracted from, but also resources where, countries where the resources will be transformed and used. So one of the ways to make that inclusion possible is, first of all, to correctly inform all the populations and citizens about what is at stake around critical minerals, because most of the time the dialogue is very technical. There is all of a jargon, technical language, industrial knowledge around critical minerals, which is not always edible, understandable by ordinary peoples, by those communities living on the soils from where the critical materials will be extracted from. So we need first to make that knowledge available and accessible to people. And then we need to engage them into the decision-making process. The free, prior, and informed consent, I think all of us in the room now know what it means, and we put it as a priority. But sometimes we still tend to forget about it, even if we know about it. The rights of communities to say no, and also the rights of communities to monitor the exploitation, the exploration, and the extraction of critical minerals. We have to respect those rights for making it work. We were speaking about value addition. This is really something which is important. Local content has to be produced in country, in regions, to inspire and impulse development. But there won't be any kind of value addition without also smart plans for equitable redistribution of revenues. Therefore, we need accountability frameworks at the global.
By the UNSG to the multilateral cooperation that is happening now, be it in particular focus on sustainable and fair trade, or maybe some other particular issues that you envision, because I think it's truly important, right? Because the panels mentioned about the importance of having some inclusive platform to also channel the systemic challenges or to transform the economic structure of a country to be able to develop and gain from the critical minerals. It's not an easy job. That's why systematically it needs a multilateral cooperation. So I'm just wondering, what do you envisage that this panel can do, and how it can go beyond? Maybe it's not an easy question, but I think it'll be interesting to hear from you.
With the one on governance, anyone would like to volunteer to take that? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Clovis. Yeah. So I think. For this private sector, is very important on this aspect, is that to ensure that I think you follow the practice, especially set up by this. In the case of this mining and the critical mineral, I think to follow the practice of the standard, set, for example, for the good mining practice, So. Think about it, So the government set up the policy that has to be followed by this private sector, and then in that case, I think the government has the enforcement ability to make sure that this is being followed by all the industry players. But on the other hand, if you think that the private sector, especially, for example, further downstream, the buyer of the mining product, the buyer of the smelting product, they can play this significant role to ensure that, I will buy your product, for example, if you follow this type of requirement that is set by this standard. So I think on the private sector perspective, on this company joint venture, to ensure that you have the mechanism to actually following and comply with this standard is very important. In the case of Indonesia, I guess some mining countries, smelting countries decided to follow like ICMM, IRMA standard, RMI. I think that's very important. So I think that would be, I would say, important part. The pressure from the buyer, which is actually the private sector, and actually to this mining company, who is also the private sector. Many of it is the private sector. So you need to have this governance standard set to actually how you will comply with all these requirements.
In a way, it was not fair because the next question is for you as well. So,
So let me answer this one. So two things. I think this is not many people understand about the latest development of our technology in the nickel processing. To be honest with you, I'll be very honest, for the nickel, for the stainless steel, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to replace the fossil fuel in Sulawesi, because to process for this nickel smelting, you need a lot of power, you need a lot of electricity. And if you see in the South Sulawesi, sorry, in the eastern part of Sulawesi, there is not many renewable energy that can provide the base load. We have some hydropower system over there, but we need to build and connect it. Yeah, maybe you can get maybe 1.5 to 2 gigawatt. Yeah, I think this is something that we work with JETP, but I think it will take time. So what you can do on this area is actually you combine with the solar panel, but that will be mostly, I would say, 15%. You can combine with the solar panel and the battery system, so you can reduce the emission by 15%. The other things that you can do is actually, and on the solar panel, several smelting company is already planning to do that. Yeah, they combine, so they reduce the coal-fired power plant and combine with the solar panel. The other things, and I think this is something that is not being explored yet, is to actually to use wood chip, yeah, as a co-firing, yeah, with this coal power plant. Yeah, this has been done in Japan, in South Korea, but in Indonesia, this is something that not yet fully optimized. Yeah, so I think there is some way on that, but to be honest, to reduce the emission on the stainless steel sector, especially coming out from the nickel smelting, is going to be very difficult. Very difficult to get a significant reduction, maybe to 50, 40%. Yeah, it's going to be very challenging. But we cannot rule out the possibility of the development of the new technology on this one. Yeah, and I will go into this topic. Yeah, but however, nickel for the battery is different. When you see most of the technology that is being applied in Indonesia today for this nickel for the battery is using the high pressure acid leaching, which is hydrometallurgy. It doesn't require a lot of power. It's a chemical process. So the electricity that is being used for this process right now is generated from the steam to make the sulfuric acid from the sulfur. Yeah. So actually, you can use the process to create the sulfuric acid, the steam for the electricity. So if you calculate all in all, the emission for this nickel coming out from the HPAL is not too different with what the Australian and what the Canadian generate. Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is, not many people understand this dynamic, but actually this is the way that I've seen moving forward. Yeah, I talk with many of these EV automaker, battery company. When they come to Indonesia, they want to get the nickel coming out from this HPAL process, because this is actually the most efficient in terms of this emission, carbon CO2 emission. Yeah. So you will see a lot development on this aspect. Yeah. The only problem that we need to deal with the HPAL process on the tailing issue. Yeah. But the way I see now on this tailing, we are developing technology to actually extract the iron, the sulfur, yeah, coming out of this tailing. So we can reduce the volume of the tailing up to 95%. Once this is done, I would say there will be no major issue on this HPAL anymore. In Indonesia, we do not allow deep sea tailing. This is very clear. There is a government regulation, yeah, that prohibit this one. So there is no deep sea tailing in Indonesia for this nickel processing.
You see that you really got the point that Deputy Professor likes to discuss, right? Yeah. Although I could let you speak more time, but unfortunately you don't have. But I think that any panel that we end up talking about sulfuric acid, we really went deep onto the matter. That was very good. Now I would like to ask the indulgence for the participants, because we still have one more question, and maybe listen from Rodrigo or Marit. What is the aspiration for the panel?
I see that we have 43 seconds. No, okay. The aspiration of the UNSG panel is actually composed of a variety of panelists from Western countries, the Global South, civil society organization, Western. We have industry, even IRMA and others. It's an interesting blend of expertise there. Well, it's based on, it assumes that, what we were just discussing, that there was no equity and justice in the way that mining was done in the past. So it is to avoid the mistakes of the past and come up with recommendations to take this forward. So that was the aspiration, based on the justice and equity, and to take make it more about people and planet instead of profits. Basically, that's the conundrum. It is a conundrum. So yes, I mean, there are so many different interests, so many different views on a lot of subjects. We don't expect to come out from this panel very happy. If one is very happy, then something is wrong. Then we go to optimal, like satisfying for some of us, because the industry is there, and the African countries are there, the Global South is there. We all have different, and also the indigenous people, and they are also, the rights are represented. So it's a very tight balance to come up with something actionable, but we are, it's going to be final. Today we have a final meeting of the panel, and then it's going to be, and we have to say that at least we are happy that the UN, as a neutral body, is the one having a platform, and we hope that our actionable recommendation that we have recommended there, which are still not unveiled yet, so I cannot, but I hope that at least we'll make a step in the right direction.
Thank you, Marit. Now we are finishing, but I would like to give opportunity for a quick message, starting from Mr. Dunedin, from there to here. Quick message for each one of the panelists.
Yeah, thank you. I think I will close my speech by saying that I think I echo other speakers that we need to avoid the mistake that developing countries have done in the past. In the past, maybe we have so many opportunities, for example, like from oil boom and so on, but I think today's, with the green windows opportunity and with the all geopolitical issue we have, actually from the perspective of Global South, we have a strong position, because maybe in the past, oil is not concentrated in the developing countries. I mean, like some in the developed countries, some in developing countries. But in terms of the critical minerals, I think more than 80% or 90% in some commodities are located in the Global South. So I think this is how we should promote in the future, collaborative effort, and also work hand in hand. I mean, like for some country needs other country as well. So I think also in terms of innovation, I mean, like we are still behind compared to the developed countries, but I think the opportunities is there as long as we can cooperate and have a strong connection between researcher and build ecosystem that can support this type of collaboration. I think I will stop there. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Colleagues, I will really ask you to be very sharp on your message. Rodrigo?
Thank you. Just to mention that the critical minerals shows up because of the climate crisis or the climate challenge we face. We only have one planet, so this is not just a matter of the North and the South, this is a matter of the planet and the human beings and all who are in here. So we have to fulfill this goal as a human beings. We are the ones called to do that, and international cooperation is the only way. Thank you.
I also want to emphasize on collaboration, especially South-South collaboration, because it's we have kind of some similar pathways. So we really advocate for that. And then because you have nickel, we have cobalt, and we have others. So we can really, it's going to be a win-win, and we share. And somebody asked about the joint ventures. I think that's how technology could get transferred, because it's not deliberate, it's not automatic. It has to be done deliberately. So skills also is very important. So building skills, transfer of technology, collaboration, and very innovative. Business unusual, not business as usual. Thank you.
Yeah, so people before profit, I said it already. So on governance, I just wanted to add something. If we want all of this to work, all those plans, targets, everything, we need to emphasize the need to fight against corruption. Because we have the feeling that sometimes anti-corruption has become the forbidden word, maybe. But if we think of a sustainable business model, if we want to make communities benefit from the extraction of these minerals, we need to fight against corruption, which derives, the money and interest and benefits from those communities. So that's the thing. And thanks a lot for the government of Indonesia for hosting us. You included civil society, and this is very important. We have published What You Pay Indonesia here, which is doing a fantastic work, which can collaborate with you. Thank you.
Deputy Secretary.
Yeah, I think it's very important to create a equilibrium and balance, between the interests of developing country and developed countries, between the interests of the investor and, what is my colleagues mentioned about the local communities, indigenous people, vulnerable groups, especially in developing this critical mineral. So I think this is a complex issue, but I agree with Dr. Kitao that, and my friends Rodrigo, we need the international collaboration to ensure that this development of this critical mineral for energy transition is well achieved and well balanced.
So thank you very much. I think that we start session talking about dilemmas and trade-offs, but overall we hear a lot about opportunities for learning, for participation, for collaboration, and I would like to finish this session with that message, that let's take that as an opportunity for collaboration and moving together to make this more sustainable. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you to our moderator as well as all panelists. Thank you so much once again. You may now return back to your seat. Once again, thank you to our moderator, Mr. Clovis Freire. Our speakers, we have Mr. Septian Harioseto, Mr. Rodrigo Orquiza, Ms. Marit Waikitao, Mr. Imaduddin Abdullah, Ms. Keta Kendriana Rafitoson. Thank you so much to all of the speakers as well as the moderator on the session. Well, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of this session's Clean Energy Conundrum, Securing Sustainable Critical Minerals Value Chains. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to extend thank you to all of you, the participants, for your attendance as well as for your active participations during this session. And please also join us for the next session, because the upcoming session will discuss about the future of work, catalyzing just transitions towards green jobs in developing and also least developed countries. We will have our keynote speaker on this session, which will be the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia. So please join us here at the auditorium of the Bali International Convention Center at 3:30 p.m. local time. So once again, we'll see you again on the next session. It will be started at 3:30 p.m. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.